welcome to Baking and Books. My name is Lexi and I'm an amateur baker who loves to read. So each week I post videos of myself attempting to bake something new while also talking about a book that I have recently read or just really love. Today I'm going to be trying to make Cranberry Orange Cupcakes. They were requested by one of my friends that always gets to eat my baking, so I thought I would fulfill her request and attempt to make them. I'm a little unsure of how they're going to turn out. It's a lot of new stuff for me, but hopefully it will go well. We're also going to be talking about the second book in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series, Hollow City. This is a really good follow-up, like a really good sequel, because it's really adventure-esque. Adventurous? It's got a lot of adventure. The kids are starting out, to rescue other peculiars and the Embrines, and so it's a lot of them sort of figuring out what they're capable of and crossing a lot of different time streams and things like that. So it's a really fun book and I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to getting to talk about it with you guys. If you haven't read the first book, which is just Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, or you haven't seen the movie, or you haven't seen my video from that book, I would suggest you do that first. Obviously, this is a series and it all goes together, so you may be very confused if you hang out and you haven't read this, but you do you. I apologize in advance if I'm a little off today. Hopefully I won't be, but I'm baking a lot earlier than I normally would, so I think my coffee is still trying to kick in, and I may be a little bit scatterbrained, but I'm going to try to hold it together for you guys. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, well, first things first, I did not anticipate how hard it would be to find cranberries. Like, I really was like, oh yeah, at the store, like everything else in life. But no, I could not find cranberries. So what I ended up having to do was get cranberry sauce with whole cranberries. And I'm basically just gonna drain them out. And that's where we're at. So obviously we're off to a really solid start. All right, let's talk synopsis really quick. So we left off with the peculiar children having saved Miss Peregrine, but now she's stuck in her bird state. Oh wow, that didn't open anything. So now she's stuck in her bird state, and they've got to try to save the other Embrines. Is that how you pronounce that? Maybe. I don't know. That's how it looks in my head, so that's what we're going with. The other Embrines, as well as like other peculiar children or peculiar people around the world. This is not going well for me. I think this is broken, is our problem. Or I'm stupid. Both are possible. Okay, well, the good news is I might just be stupid. Hold on. So what I did was I read the instructions on the other side, on the side that I was trying to open, which said open on the other side. And now I think we're making some progress. So, always read the instructions, kids. Anyway, they saved Miss Peregrine, they gotta go off and they gotta save everybody else, right? That's just how it is. This is not what I expected. So as you can see, I don't actually know what cranberry sauce is. So yeah, we're off to a really good start here. I'm just gonna make a confession. I don't really like cranberries, and I'm literally only doing this because I'm trying to be a good friend, because I don't really think these cupcakes sound good. Like, that's not me as a person. But I'm trying to be a good friend, and these cranberries are insistent that I'm not, because they've decided not to be of use. Okay, here's what we're gonna do instead. These original cranberries are supposed to be for like sugared cranberries that go on top. Well, the problem is that even though there are whole cranberries in here, they're already like mushy. I don't know if I can, maybe I can pick them out. I don't know. We're going to try, guys. We're going to try. Just trying to be a good friend. All right, where were we? We're trying to save everybody. So they have to head through an adventure through their time stream because, of course, like, they can't go into Jacob's time or they will die. So they have to go through the time that they're already in the 40s in order to make this work. And they've got to get across the ocean and head out and try to find some people. So they head out on this journey, but of course it's not going to be easy. I mean, they're traveling in, a time period that really none of them have ever traveled in because they've been in the same loop for forever, and to Jacob, this is like the super far past. So like, how is he going to know what to do? So they they're definitely going to struggle. They're definitely going to run into bad guys because, of course, like, the bad guys are looking for them specifically because they were able to escape from the attack, you know? So, of course, they're going to be hunted and looked for. Okay, I've made a new decision. There will be no sugared cranberries. Sorry, friend. There just will not be. I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to use these to the best of my abilities with the cake and the frosting as it is. It's kind of a mushy mess, but it is still cranberries, so fingers crossed that's going to work. But I think we're just going to have to skip out on the sugared cranberries because finding enough whole ones to make it worth it is honestly going to take me the whole time I talk about this book. So I think what we're going to do instead is just forget that and move on to the next step. Okay, so chaos over, but now that's pretty much it. I mean, it's an adventure story. They're going along trying to save people, meeting new people, and overall trying to save Miss Peregrine, get her back to human form, as well as, you know, potentially save everybody. So that's pretty much it. It's a really fun book. It's got fun new characters and some really good twists and turns. I highly recommend it. But now I'm going to dive in deeper to my book. So if you haven't read this yet or you're not totally caught up on the series, go ahead and skip forward until it says no more spoilers. And then you can just see how my cupcakes turned out and not have to have anything ruined for you. But if you are already up to date, ready to talk about this story, or you generally just don't care, then stay with me. We're going to get into the baking of the cake and the frosting and all of that and talk deeper into the book. It's having me make this cake from scratch instead of like a boxed mix, which you know that normally I don't allow that. Normally I'm not about that, but I figured that this time around I probably should because it's difficult to find like an orange cranberry cake mix. So I should probably just follow the regular ingredients. So, I mean, the first thing really is like you get a little bit more insight into these kids' personalities. Enoch to me is just like a really mysterious character in some ways because like he does end up being nice later in the book, but right now he's kind of a dick. I mean, honestly, like he's just one of those characters like, and I don't know if maybe it is jealousy of Jacob because he likes Emma or he feels like he's being pushed aside for a stranger or whatever. Like, I don't know what it is, but there's just something about him that is it's too much. It's like, take a seat, you're doing the most. The thing that sort of gets me too is that, like, of course, you know, Miss Peregrine might be stuck as a bird. Like, why? Why would it be easy, you know? Like, they already went through this whole rescue mission for her, 100% risked their lives. I mean, one of them got shot, and then, like, they got her back, but now she's a bird. So it's kind of just like, of course she is. Like, this couldn't just be easy. No, that would be ridiculous. I think the idea of loops are really cool. Like, the way that they disguise them, too. Like, this one, you know, that they visit, like, the menagerie is technically hidden in, like, a story, which is really interesting. And I feel like, you know, that's a cool way to tell the story, is by having all these different loops they have to go to are difficult to find, but they can find clues along the way in, like, these old children's stories, which I think is a really fun idea. The thing I don't get, though, is, I mean, I know that the little one is sick, but I just don't really understand leaving people behind. And if you're gonna leave people behind, why not leave, like, more people behind? Like, I know that sounds weird, but I just feel like it's all or nothing, almost. But, like, borderline. You know, I feel like if your reasoning is they're gonna slow you down or whatever, but then they take, Olive, I'm pretty sure it is, and they take Olive with them, who's little, easily scared, and, like, yeah, her her thing that she can do is really cool, you know, and helpful, and, like, she does help along the way, but at the same time, it's like, she's still really little, and you're gonna have to watch out for her all the time. So part of me is just like, if you're gonna leave people behind, you know, you really should take the ones that are gonna be the most helpful to you, and I feel like Fiona's powers are really cool and really interesting, and I feel like could be really helpful. So I guess I'm just kind of like confused by that part. I don't really understand it. I know it works out in the end, but the part where they miss the train because that guy just like points a gun at them and is like, no, you're not going to do that, really had me heated. I was like, really? You are this close to getting on the train and Miss Peregrine's already on there. and you lied to that guy and said she was a toy and he believed you, and like you're just so close, and now you're not gonna be able to make it. Like, I know it works out, but it had me heated. Okay, so my instructions say zest of 1 orange. That's not a measurement. Like, I'm not gonna zest my own orange, Kathy, whatever your name is. So when I looked up orange zest, this is what came up. So we're just gonna add in a little bit of this and hope it works. I'm gonna add in a little bit. I would rather this be not as strong and, you know, not be like incorrect than have it be like really strong and wrong. Which is interesting because most of the time I tell my students strong and wrong, but not today. This is a really random thing about the book, but I have a really hard time with people being dirty. Like, I don't mean that to sound like elitist or like rude. I don't like the idea that these children haven't bathed in days. Like, the whole idea grosses me out. And there's parts where like Emma and Jacob are cuddling and I know, if you stink, we can't cuddle. You sweaty and hot, I don't know why that has always bothered me. I do not like the idea of being gross. And it's like, I understand in this story, it kind of makes sense. Because, I mean, they're off adventuring. So, like, of course, they're going to be gross and sweaty and disgusting. But it's too much for me. I don't know. That's a random fact about me. In books, movies, it doesn't matter. If they're gross, it's just too much. I need them to bathe. I do. I just need them to bathe. Also, I'm going to get back on my kick about how Emma is not my favorite character real quick. I just feel like she's unnecessarily rude to Melina. Like, I understand, you know, Emma has taken this position as pseudo-leader of the group, which is fine. I mean, she's one of the older ones, and she's got, like, a good leadership kind of personality, and I get that, you know? But at the same time, like, I don't think Melina is trying to step on anybody's toes or be, like, super rude or anything. I think she's just been through a lot, and she's trying to be like, listen, you know, if you want my help or the help of my bird, you're gonna have to, like, bring me with you and, you know, include me and stuff, because otherwise I'm not gonna help you out. And quite frankly, I don't blame her after everything she's been through. And I feel like Emma is unnecessarily rude to her. And then I wrote down again that these kids need a bath. It's just been too long. And I know that there maybe are more important things than being clean, like being alive. And I understand that. But I feel like, couldn't somebody have had the power to, like, of water to, like, hose these kids off maybe? That would have been nice. It always kind of upsets me in stories when adults don't give kids enough credit or trust. And I think this happens a lot in real life too, where it's one of those things that, I get it, they're young, you know, you don't want them to have responsibilities that they shouldn't have to deal with. And I understand that completely. But I also think what ends up happening then is that you kind of just ride them off. You know, like Miss Wren, she's like, this isn't your battle. And as soon as Miss Peregrine is healed and turned back to human, you know, she's going to make a safe loop for you guys because this is, like, you shouldn't be here. This is not your fight. And I understand that because they're young, but they're also not young. I mean, they've all been living in this loop for like 70 years. So they're actually not that young. They're just a little naive because they've never been out to see the world. But, you know, they survived to make it all the way there, and she praises them for making it all the way there and then treats them like, oh, you can't do this. We're going to add some of our cranberry goop. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we're going to try it. I think what I'm going to do is add a little less. This wants me to add 1.5 cups of fresh cranberries. I think what I'm going to do is a similar thing I did to the orange zest, where, you know, I would rather have a little bit less of a kick and still like a good flavor than have too much. Because this has all this sauce stuff with it too. So I feel like a cup of this versus like 1.5 cups of just plain fresh cranberries is going to be different. And it's going to be fine. This isn't really actually weird looking batter, but like attractively weird. Is that a weird thing to say? Let me show you. See? It's like a pink rosy color and it's got little flakes of cranberry in it. But it's very nice. All right, now we are about ready to put these in the oven. I had a major eye roll moment at Emma when she was like, Jacob, you need to go home. I know it could be looked at as a mature decision because she was the one that told Jacob he should stay with them in the first place. And now she's realized, like, this is not a good idea for him. Like, he still has people at home who love him and who miss him. And he should not be missing out on that in order to, like, fight a war that they can't necessarily, for sure, win. But it just kind of made me roll my eyes because I was like, you are the one who told him to come. Ooh, I should taste this really quick. I mean, it's good. I don't know if it's going to be, like, my favorite thing, but it actually is really tasty. Better than I thought it would be. But yeah, I just feel like, you know, Emma, you were the one that told him to come in the first place because you were being selfish and you didn't want to have to say goodbye. And he actually has been a big use to you guys because he can see and sense the hollows and you guys can't. But now you're like, you know what, I've thought about it and I was being selfish and you need to go home. And it's just one of those things to me that's like, at this point, you need to leave that to be Jacob's decision. Like, if Jacob decides he wants to go home, then you support him. But I feel like pulling him aside and being like, this is my mistake and I was selfish. That's like, you know what? You're giving yourself, you just think too highly of yourself, Emma. You just do. You think too highly of yourself. Because this was Jacob's decision too. I mean, he could have said, no, I'm going home. But he doesn't. He stays. That's on him. While those are in the oven, we're going to make the frosting that's going to go on top. The thing about these books is that they always leave me in like a state of chaos. Like, there's never a simple ending. I mean, because here we are, right? We've traveled all this way. We found Miss Wren. She's okay. There are a couple other peculiars. They're okay. And they've kind of like semi got a game plan, you know? Miss Wren doesn't want the kids to be involved, but like the other peculiars are like, hey, stay and fight. We're going to do this. We're going to try to do this. And we've made it so far. And we've done so well. And just when we think, okay, well, at least we'll have Miss Peregrine back and she can kind of like assess the situation, make things better. No, that would be way too easy. Instead, we've got her weird-ass brother who somehow is still able to turn into a bird. I don't know. That lost me because I was like, I didn't think he could do that anymore, but okay. Maybe I misread something in the first book, but I didn't think he could do that anymore. So now here he is, you know, trying to be a dick because he's found out all their secrets. And it's just like, oh, you know, we've just been trying so hard and just get shat on at every single turn. Oh, good news. This has an actual measurement for the orange zest this time. The orange zest that we hope is correct. But yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, of course, like the bad guys are converging on them and everything sucks. Naturally, after all the hard work we've done. And now we're even more separated because we had to run from the bad guys. The one thing I did forget though, because like, I mean, I've read this book before and it's been a while, so there were a lot of things that I forgot that I guess just didn't, like I just wasn't thinking about as far as importance. But the one thing I really did forget about was this pet hologast that now they're gonna get to have. I totally forgot that was like part of Jacob's whole thing, was that he could speak to them in their language. That is wild and I love it. Okay, we are gonna add, we're supposed to do 3/4 cup, so we're just gonna add the rest of these and wing it. This is the frosting, so before I add any more heavy cream like I'm supposed to, I wanna see, this consistency I feel like is a little too runny. So I may try to add a little more powdered sugar. That's how that works, right? I hope so. But yeah, I love the pet hollow. I completely forgot about that. And it is indeed one of my favorite things about this series. I can't believe I forgot about it because I just love it so much. I'm just not super happy with this frosting. I feel like it's still really runny and I'm afraid it's not gonna stay on the cake very well. But I'm afraid if I add any more powdered sugar, it's just gonna be too much. We're gonna add in a little bit more, and if it doesn't help, then that's just gonna be it. I tasted it and it tastes fine. I guess I could try to start over because it was a pretty thick consistency before I added the heavy cream. Maybe, I mean, I didn't put in as much as they said. I don't know, maybe it's supposed to be runny, but I'm just afraid it's not gonna stay on the cupcakes even when they're cooled. Okay, if you left because of spoilers, go ahead and come back and join us. Our cupcakes went in the oven. They have come out. We've got 2 batches here and a small batch left in the oven because, you know, cupcakes always makes like way more than you need. But I think we're ready to ice. I had a little trouble with our icing. It wasn't as thick as I wanted it to be, so I stuck it in the fridge. And, I mean, that's where these are going to go when they're done. So I'm hoping that will help it, like, hold up. I'm almost out of piping bags. All right. We're just going to pipe the ones that have been sitting cooling the longest because I don't want the icing to just like slide right off. That would be obnoxious. I don't even know how well this icing is going to come out since it has all these cranberries in it. But it says you can pipe them on, so we're going to just assume that you can. That's what the instructions say. I definitely already have a cranberry stuck. I should have chosen a different tip, I'm realizing. Alright, well, I think we might be abandoning our attempts to make these cute. Or do I just use my last bag? I guess we'll use the last bag. Thing is, I'm going to lose some frosting because I'm not going to be able to get it all out of this bag, but oh well. Okay, lesson learned. When you're dealing with something like cranberries, don't use a cute little tip. You need to use one that can get the cranberries out, which I guess is going to just be this one. Yep, much better. It's just going to be the ugly plain swirl, but oh well. Honestly, it's not my favorite looking icing. Kind of looks kind of gross. Like, just the color of it, not my favorite. I also don't think I'm going to have enough for all of these. What everybody missed off screen, I did try to remake this icing. I wasn't super happy with the consistency, so I tried to remake it. It didn't really go any better. It was pretty much the same, so just kind of wasn't worth it. Okay. Here we go. What's one that looks like it turned out okay? This one looks like it turned out okay. So here's our finished product. Sorry, the camera's having trouble focusing. All right, I'm gonna unwrap it here. See if we can get a better look at it. So there you go. Focus camera. That's the best I can do for you. Let's taste it. I'm a little nervous because, like I said earlier, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this combination. It's pretty good though. I think my friends might be onto something. Yeah, this is some pretty good stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I think I've been missing out on something all this time. Now, the only thing I didn't try was the sugared cranberries because I couldn't find any just regular cranberries. So, highly recommend being able to find regular cranberries before you try this. However, if you can get some sort of cranberry sauce, honestly, I think it probably worked about the same. Especially as far as the cupcakes go. I mean, you're just mixing cranberries into the batter. So, I think you're okay. For the frosting too, I think it makes more sense to have something sauce-like instead of just whole-ass cranberries going in there. So I think really the only thing we're missing is like a garnish on top, pretty much. So I would definitely say these were a success. I think they taste good. Decoration-wise, my cupcake fanciness is already falling apart a little bit. But, I mean, that's to be expected. It was not a very fancy icing, so I'm not really that surprised that decoration-wise they didn't turn out that nice. But taste-wise, I think they are great, and I'm surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised because I thought even if it turns out well, I might not know because I might not like this orange cranberry combination, but I do. So what do you know? I highly recommend this book. If you haven't started the Miss Peregrine series, I definitely recommend it. It's a great series, and if you really liked the first book, this is your logical next step. This second book is a really adventurous one, and I think that makes it a lot of fun. It makes the growth of the characters more interesting, and the story itself is really interesting. There's some really fun twists and turns, so I highly recommend it. If you have any recipe or book recommendations that you want to send me, please feel free to do so. I'm always looking for new stuff. And if you want to follow me over on Instagram, you can see what I'm always currently reading. You can follow me on all social media, but Instagram is where I post what I'm currently reading. So if you want to follow along, you can totally do that. If you had a good time today, please like and subscribe. I try to do this for you every week, and it's always a little bit of a hot mess and always a little bit of fun. Plus, I try to pick books that everybody might actually read instead of being like high and mighty with what I read. I like to just read what I like to read, and so you're probably not going to find me on a lot of like famous book lists, but I'm having a good time, so hopefully you will too. Thank you to those of you that watch every week. You guys are the absolute best, and I really, really appreciate you. I promise that I do. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.